If you are thinking about building a new home here in the state of Georgia, we are going to be laying out everything that you need to know about the process from going out and looking at a piece of land all the way through your closing.
Especially when you're looking at building a new home, the process can be a little overwhelming. So we want to make sure you have all the information up front on how this process is going to look like. We're going to kind of give you an outline of the stages to expect when building your new home. So when it comes to building your new home here in the state of Georgia, your first step is going to be securing your land. So that's going to look a little bit different with the two different avenues you have to go with here in the state of Georgia. If you're building your home on your own or through a custom builder, you're going to be responsible for securing that land, finding your land all on your own. If you're going through a preferred builder of yours, you will be restricted to the subdivisions they have under development. As it comes to checking the soils, location, the workability of the lot, there's a lot of things you need to take into account when you're looking at land. So your location is going to be the biggest thing. That's going to be a personal preference. You're going to want to look for the amount of acreage that you would like. You're going to want to look for location when it comes to school systems, cities, convenience to grocery stores. All of that's going to be a personal preference for the home buyer or home builder in this process. So once you've got your location determined and you start narrowing down pieces of land in that area, you're going to want to think of a couple of things. The municipality, when it comes to where you're going to be pulling your building permit from, you're going to want to pay attention to the soil qualities of that piece of land to make sure that they perk correctly. If you're going to be on a septic system, make sure that you can find water if you're having to drill a well. See how close city water and sewer are if you're going to go that route. Also, you need to make sure you're not going to run into any rock that could potentially really raise your grading cost once you start digging for your home, whether it's a basement or a slab. You want to make sure that you don't run into any unexpected costs when it comes to dealing with your own land. If you're working through a preferred builder like here at SR Homes, we take care of all that for you. So you'll have a set lot premium built into your cost of building your home, and we go ahead and take care of all of that. We'll take care of the clearing, the permitting, the soil test, the water, the sewer. So that's one of the perks of working with a preferred builder, is that we go ahead and handle all of that for you on the front end. That way when you're ready to build a home, you come in, pick your desired lot in your desired subdivision, and you're ready to start building. So once you've secured your land and found your location where you want to build, your next big step is going to be starting the building process. So what's going to occur with that process first is going to be your permitting stage. So with your local municipality that you're working with, you're going to have to pull your building permit, submit your plans if you're a custom home. Obviously, if you're working through a builder like here at SR, we still handle this entire process for you. So we'll handle pulling the permit, getting all the inspections, paying the permitting fees, that's included in your contract. But if you're working on your own, that's something you're going to have to think about and take into account, is the time it takes to submit your custom plans, get approval from your municipality, pay those permitting fees, and then go through your inspection process. So the big thing that you're going to be working through during the building process is your inspections. So you're going to have to take time at each stage of the building process to go through those inspections that local municipality requires in order to move on to the next stage of your building process.
So now when we're talking about the budgeting concerns or the cost concerns you have with your home, there's a couple things that you're going to want to keep in mind. Number one, first and foremost, is your land or your lot cost. Generally speaking, here in the Atlanta area, your lot costs are going to be about 25% of the overall sales price of your home, and that's the developed lot. Number two, again, as it relates to budgeting, you're going to want to account for the fact that with most higher end builders, semi-custom builders, you're going to have a design center, and a lot of people have a lot of uncertainty or fear about how much money they're going to wind up spending at the design center. A good rule of thumb for a good builder or a good design center, you should be able to get a very well done home for between 5 and 7% of the slab price of that home. So just to make numbers easy, say that you have a $700,000 home, call it another $35,000 on top of that should get you a gorgeous home. Obviously, these are general rules. You can go above, you can go below, that's up to you. But these are just things to keep in mind. And then lastly, you're going to have, outside of your design period, at least for us here at SR Homes, there's going to be change order fees. So there's a period of time where you can change the home and change the selections without incurring any sort of change order fees. Here at SR, as a 30-day period, you're going to start incurring $350 change order fees, and that's to cover the fact that the builder has to go back, they have to reprice everything out, and that takes up valuable man hours in the office.
Yeah, once you jump into the building side of things, once you've kind of figured out your design process and gone through your land, there's also some unincurred costs that you need to keep in mind, especially if you're building a true custom home on your own, not using a builder. You want to keep in mind your inspection fees. So here at SR Homes, if you're working through us, we are responsible for those failed inspection fees. It is actually our responsibility to schedule those inspections, make sure the work is done properly and on time and ready for those inspections. So therefore, if we fail and occur a failed inspection fee with the local municipality, we are actually now responsible for that. So if you choose to go off on your own and build that house yourself, that is going to become a responsibility of yours, and those can add up. They typically start at $25 and go up by $25 every time you fail. So that's another cost that you need to keep in mind while building your home. So also, like Dallas said, there is a cost change fee if you were to make a change to your home after that design period has ended. But don't let that stop you from making changes on your home and really making it the way you want it to be. You'd much rather spend that $350 there and now to have the builder do it properly, whether that's something that you'd like done before sheetrock goes in or even after sheetrock goes in, than it would to take the money down the road and demo it and change it yourself when you're unhappy with the final product. There's a couple other things that you need to keep in mind that may affect your budget as well. If you are on a strict timeline, keep account weather. So you may want to give yourself an extra month at the end of your closing date that you would really like to hit. Extend that a month to give yourself time to really wrap up the home, go through the QC process, make sure that your home is wrapped up exactly what you want it to be. That way you're not coming in after the fact and spending additional money on items like that. All right, let's talk about timelines and expectations when it comes to the new home building process. So here in the state of Georgia, we deal with a lot of summer, spring rains, or even fall rains. Like just this week, we've dealt with a couple days of rain here, and it is now November. So that is kind of holding up different phases of the building process. Here at SR Homes, our typical build times for a slab sit at around 150 days. And for our basements, you're sitting at around 185 to 190 days. So that's all depending on how long your design process takes, how long it takes to get the permit, as well as weather delays. So material delays have gotten a lot better here in the last year, so we're able to actually work ahead, and we have a great purchasing and estimating staff that actually works with our suppliers and our subcontractors to actually find out what materials are allocated and what we need to order ahead of time. So we kind of worry about that for you here at SR Homes. But if you are building on your own, that is something you need to take into account, is how long it's going to take to get a lot of your materials. When it comes to rain and weather delays, so there's not much we can do about rain and weather here. Obviously, that is a fact of nature. So it just depends on how long that rainstorm comes and what stage of the building process you are in. So behind me, you can see we've got a house in framing. We've just dealt with a couple of days of rain here. So that's actually going to delay us as many days as it's rained, plus 1 or 2 to let the lot dry out. That's just to keep our job sites clean and keep our quality up. Nobody wants to be dealing with muddy, messy materials. We want to try and keep a neat, clean job site. That just produces a better product at the end, making our customers happier in the end.
Now, moving on to some common mistakes that can pop up during the building process. By far, the largest mistake you can make is working with the wrong builder. If you are buying a spec home, if you are building a semi-custom home, or if you're building a full-on custom home, not only is the builder that you work with going to impact that build process and how easy it is to get into the new home, but they're also going to impact how much you enjoy living in that new home. If you work with a builder that has a reputation for cutting corners and doing things the cheapest way possible, you're more than likely going to pay for that down the line when you have warranty issues that you have to get addressed, when you have construction faults, maybe you have leaks in a shower, maybe you have problems with your insulation. It is by and large the easiest way to ruin the process of building a new home is working with a builder that is not a consummate professional and is not doing things the right way and with you, the home buyer, in mind.
One of the biggest suggestions I give people out in this industry is try and meet your builder as soon as possible. Try and interview several different builders, get to know them, and don't always just get to know their office staff or their sales team. Ask if you can meet and walk with the construction team that's actually going to be managing your process. Get a feel for how you work with them. The sales team is a super important factor when it comes to your new buying process, but also is the people that are going to be physically hands-on managing the build of your home. So you want to make sure that they're going to treat you with respect, make sure they're going to actually care about what they are giving you. Walk their job sites as well, especially if you're building a custom home and you can't just come into a neighborhood. Ask them if they have some product that you can and walk. Take a look at how they take care of their job sites, how they treat their subcontractors. Feel around, interview several different builders, because that's going to, like Dallas said, be a huge factor in the enjoyment of your home all the way through the building process and even after you close. Some of the other common mistakes that people are going to make during this process is not keeping those costs that we talked about in mind. Make sure before you get started on this process, you have a clear understanding of what your budget looks like and even have a contingency in mind in case things go sideways. Construction is not a perfect industry. Things are going to happen. You're going to have unexpected costs that come up. So make sure you budget accordingly. Same thing with your build time. Make sure you leave, like I said, that month extra just to fine tune things, to have an expectation for delays. So make sure you account for your budget and your timeline when building your new home here in the state of Georgia.
Now let's talk about the most exciting and stressful part of the entire home buying process, preparing for closing. There are a lot of moving parts in building a home, especially as you get right down to closing. As you see here, we're about a month out from this home that we're filming in right now. So there's a lot moving behind the scenes. Number one, you need to go back and make sure that all of your financing is good to go. If you're working with a good lender, this should not be a crazy strain on you as the buyer, but there's a lot of moving parts on their end. Also, you're going to have to set up both your final inspection for the home, where you bring a third-party inspector out, they inspect the home, make sure everything is good to go. Then after that, you're going to have your orientation, which is where you're going to go through the home with the builder, go over the final inspection report, point out any sort of material defects that you might see. Maybe a countertop got chipped, maybe a cabinet drawer is not closing as it should, and you're going to need to green and blue tape the home to show any sheetrock or paint touch-ups that are necessary. After that, you are then going to come back to the home probably about 2 weeks later and do your final walkthrough on the day of closing to make sure that everything is good to go. If there are any repairs that need to be done and are going to survive closing, all of that needs to be documented on paper with the builder, and then you show up to the closing attorney, you wire your funds for the cash to close, and you actually close on the new home. So this is what's going to wrap up the, as Tyler said, probably about 150 to 200 day process of building your new home. And now the home is yours. That does not mean this is the last interaction you're going to have with the builder though, as you are going to have a builder warranty. Here at SR, we have a 1-year workmanship and craftsmanship warranty. And then we also partner with a company called 210 Home Warranty to give you a warranty from, again, years 2 to 10, depending on what the specifics of the item are. So anything structural, for example, would be covered under that 10-year warranty. But as I said, a lot of moving parts, very stressful, but also very exciting. And then at the end of it, congratulations, the new home is yours, and you get to enjoy the home that you have built and have your fingerprints all over for years to come. We hope that you found this video helpful or informative if you're thinking about building a new home in Georgia, and we'd love to hear what other questions you have. So if you have any questions, make sure to drop a link right down below in the comments. Or if you want to come check out any of the homes that SR Homes is building in person, you can click the link right down below and go to the website. We've got homes here in Forsyth County, we've got homes in Cherokee County, we have homes in Oconee County and Watkinsville, and in the city of Athens. So hope to hear from you guys soon.